There are tons of business podcasts to choose from, but only one has the stamp of approval. Kristin Stampini is South Florida's leading real estate entrepreneur and your trusted source for everything real estate.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited about our new podcast that I recently started, The Stamp of Approval. I'm Kristin Stampini, co-founder of the Stampini Platinum Real Estate Group with RE/MAX in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm also a certified real estate coach for Craig Proctor and the owner of Global Virtual Real Estate Assistants. I'm a real estate investor, a national trainer and public speaker, and a certified inside sales agent trainer. The Stamp of Approval, I started to share my experiences, my failures and strengths, and hope with my audience looking to expand their knowledge on everything in real estate, business, sales, and mindset. So here today, one of my great friends and awesome person out of Ottawa, Canada, we have Marnie Bennett. Hey, Marnie.
Good day, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you for asking me to participate.
So happy to have you. I know with your busy schedule and you just got off, you just were on the TV and I know your radio stations and everything else. You're so busy. So I'm so happy to have you here today. So let me tell everybody, Marnie Bennett is the Chief Executive Officer of the Bennett Property Shop, a top-rated boutique real estate brokerage located in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Marnie's a graduate at Carleton University of Ottawa, where she earned her Bachelor of Arts in Law and Economics. Wow, impressive. Marnie has over 3.5 decades of experience in real estate sales industry, which has provided her and through her team with an extensive experience and business acumen in handling all sorts of sales of residential real estate, new home developments, and high-rise luxury and resort real estate development projects. She strives to provide first-class, hands-on service, consumer-relevant, and innovative marketing approaches that are based upon cutting-edge consumer research and knowledge of emerging niches and trends in each and every housing segment in which her team is involved. Marnie constantly studies and researches housing developments, urban renewal projects, product innovations and improvement, marketing trends, different demographics in Canada. She also stays abreast of technology and cyber advances. Marnie has received numerous awards and has been named, quoted, and cited in various publications. Recognition of her excellence and broad knowledge about real estate, including being accepted as a member of the $1 Million and recognition as a Businesswoman of the Year by the Ottawa Women's Business Network in 2008. She was also honored by Keller Williams Realty International in 2010 as their #1 broker worldwide. What an accomplishment. Wow. A title she has held through 2011. In addition to frequent appearances as a speaker at various international conferences, Marnie has a bi-weekly appearance on Ottawa's CTV News at noontime slot and has a weekly radio show dedicated to real estate issues and had her own countrywide newspaper column. Wow. Unbelievable having Marnie here today. Now, what she's going to be talking to us about is how baby boomers are using real estate investment properties to rescue their retirement. 10,000 Americans a day are turning 65 years of age, so much different than before. There are 74.5 million baby boomers in the United States, and 50% of the baby boomers have saved less than $100,000. It's scary. 20% of the baby boomers actually have zero savings. So Marnie, let's get started. Tell us about the baby boomers.
Yeah, Kristin, I mean, I am a baby boomer, and I think you are as well. And
we can't tell our age.
I'm at the point I don't really care anymore. And what we look at right now is, and whether you're Canadian or American, what we've all got to be concerned about, and the number one fear is definitely from baby boomers with respect to, are they going to have enough to retire on? And in the United States, of course, is healthcare. So we got to break it down. What is a baby boomer, first of all? So a baby boomer is someone that was born between 1946 in 1964. So that's a baby boomer. And for those that are listening to the different demographics and cohorts, you then have a Gen X, they're called. They're from 1965 to 1980. And then we have our millennials, which are the children usually of the baby boomers as well. They're 1981 to 1996. And then we have Gen Z. And why this is important is understanding the demographics, is the size of where the population is. The baby boomers are the largest cohort of any generation. And whatever the baby boomers are doing, that's where you see the trends and the analysis. So what we're looking at right now is we sort of break down early boomers, which are currently ages 47 to 55. So you're considered an early boomer if you're between 47 and 55. And then we have late boomers, which are 56 to 65. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about, the different, what a baby boomer is and what's happened. Now, baby boomers were the children, and they call them of the silent Q generation. And our parents went through the war, and our parents had, basically not a lot of food sometimes. They were literally struggling. They were very frugal. They didn't go to Starbucks, for example. They wouldn't waste their money there. They don't do granite countertops. They do linoleum flooring, not hardwood. They look at laminate countertops. They're into white appliances, not stainless steel, because they think it's a waste. Because you got to remember, they grew up with Spam. If you remember, and I'm not talking spam mail for your internet, I'm talking Spam, and we used to, they'd have potatoes, and they were very, very frugal and have a lot of money. And then the baby boomers were born, and we decided that we were sort of not treated well enough that we couldn't have anything. So we are the largest consumers with respect to consumption. Baby boomers are very into showing off of the new cars, designer clothes, travel. And I mean, as you said, 76 million of them in United States. In Canada, which a lot of you, to give you the size of Canada, Canada is only 36 million in total. The population of California, the state of California, is larger than Canada. So you can see how we are. I know everyone forgets.
You're small. You're very small compared to us, for sure. And you know what?
Yeah.
This is such a great topic because it's scary today. And what you were talking about is how people were before. And I remember, and everything that I saw my grandparents and even my mom and everything else, is that they lived a simple life. There were so many, moms out there that were, not even working, right? A lot of them, some of them didn't even drive back then. And, having kids at a young age. I mean, even yourself, you've been married for how many years now?
Well, we've been married 45 years, and, we started off, quite frugal, as you can imagine, but then all of us get caught up with it. I think the baby boomers are the ones that started the keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, crazy.
You're right on that, Kristin, that a lot of them only had one car, but now, you're seeing couples having 3 cars, like a summer car, a convertible, and, here's my truck, and, we definitely like to spend money. But where the problem is now, all this spending money, we have the largest debt. They're saying Americans right now are each in debt of at least $86 to $100,000. That's not mortgage debt. That's personal debt.
Wow.
So for your listeners, and whether you're Canadian or American, we're all very worried about our retirement and how much money. So how much money do you need to retire on? So what you're supposed to do is look at and we're going to talk a little bit about this, is you're going to be looking between 85 to 90% of your gross income. That's what you need to be receiving every year to maintain the style of life you have and are used to. So for example, Kristin, if the two of you were, people listening were making a total household income of $100,000 a year, they need to be receiving in different ways $90,000 a year.
Wow. And you know what? That's such a good point, Marnie, because let me just tell you, and some of my listeners know, and that's one of the reasons why I really started the podcast is, at an age of 40, I was bankrupt and broke and had to start my life over. And it was scary, right? And we're talking about, I had no money. I was in debt, just what you were talking about. So I was so far in debt that I couldn't pull myself out. So what you're talking about today is so scary. It actually kind of gives me the chills right here, sitting here talking to you, because of what is happening and how people really have to plan. So $90,000 a year, they have to make some income.
So if their gross income was 100,000, whatever your gross income is, so whatever anyone's gross income is, if it's 200,000, they're going to need 90% of that. I mean, like you, I was orphaned at age 16, and I was telling you my story when we were away last weekend at Mont Tremblant in Quebec.
Oh, and let me just tell the listeners, Marnie took me for an amazing weekend to her chalet in Mont Tremblant. And I'll tell you what, it was amazing, wasn't it, Marnie? We had so much fun.
It was pretty cool.
For me, you loved it.
For those Americans that want to come in January, and I always talk Celsius, but apparently it's the same temperature when you go below zero.
That's right.
It's minus 45 and minus 70 in believe it, minus 70 if you can imagine.
That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Crazy. That's why they call us crazy Canucks. Like
Yeah, you are though. It's true.
It gets dark here at 4:30, and then it's dark again till 9 in the morning. Like so, it's like we're living in the Antarctica here. Not all the time, people. Just in December and January.
Well, it's actually beautiful too. I mean, that's the first time that I had been. I'd been to Toronto, but been to Ottawa, and I've never been to Ottawa or Mount Tremblant. Okay, and I'll tell you what. Two of the most beautiful places, for the listeners. And, I'm sorry, I hate it to tell you this, but as Marnie, make sure she lets me know all the time, what a great place for people to invest in real estate with, our dollar being about anywhere between 27 and 30% higher than theirs, right?
Well, Mont Tremblant is, and I'm sure some people up on the West Coast have heard of Whistler Mountain. It's the same group that owns it. And as I was explaining to you when you're up there, it's in a national park. I mean, the summers are beautiful up there, and Americans were buying there like crazy. And Americans have come back because you can do Airbnb there, you can rent them and everything. And, during the recession of the United States, in 2008 to 10, I was telling you my clients were buying in Arizona and Florida. And I've said to you, if I had the reverse, if my dollar was worth $1.30 in Canada, I would be buying real estate in Canada. And I can tell you how that works and how much our prices have gone up. And, it's all about cash flow. And I know you're big into investment real estate, and, that's why we were talking about, baby boomers. They need to have other methods to subsidize their income. If you are receiving a pension, and a lot of times companies go under and you're never getting that pension that you were hoping on. I don't know how much you've saved in 401ks. Pensions usually only offset 25%, but again, you need to look at it. So what your listeners have to do is, there's no late time to do this or no too early a time. You should start, if you're listening here, is even in your 30s to start saving for your retirement. And you and I are both in the real estate industry, and real estate is the best way to do this. It's absolutely the best way. And again, it does not matter what country you're from.
And you know what, Marnie? The topic that we're talking about today, and making sure that we have enough money to live our life, because, people are running out of money, obviously, before their life. And once I was broke and I didn't have any money, I never want to be in that, and I will not ever be in that position today. So you've made some really good comments on what we need to do. Now, like just this weekend, right? I went and got an Airbnb. I'll tell you what, the next place I am going to look is Mount Tremblant because it's affordable, right? And a great Airbnb place. But things like that, because we have to look at how are we going to make enough money sustain the rest of our lives without having to work for the rest of our lives.
Well, you got to look, right? If you're buying in, anywhere, even like I'm in Ottawa, Canada, that's the capital of Canada. I mean, you can buy here townhouses and you can rent them here because the rental is a very good market. So you got to figure anything that you're buying in Canada, you're saving 30%.
Yeah.
So whatever the price tag is, I mean, I was shopping you at Tremblant. I was ready to kill you because you were saving. So what you've got to look at is, so if you're an American listening here, and and Canada is one of the best countries, and we're good neighbors and everything. We just finished, doing our NAFTA agreement, or as Trump calls it now, USMC. What you're looking at is it's a very friendly country, and it's very similar to the United States. So, I mean, we can do all the rentals and the packages for you. So I'm going to give you some scenarios here. So in our city of Canada, of Ottawa, Canada, we're like Washington, D.C. That's where all the politics happens, and we have less than 1 million people. But what we have, Kristin, is called the highest fly-in workforce than any other city in Canada. So what that means is because we're so political, we get lobbyists here, we get heads of unions, we get all kinds of CEOs, and they just come in for the week, and then they fly out home on the weekends. And same with we call them ministers of parliament, where you would call it Congress and Senate, and they're just here during the week. So imagine this. So if you're living downtown, you could buy here for 200,000 Canadian, which in your case, I don't even want to say what this is. Crazy. Okay. So what you're looking at is you would buy a $200,000 condo for $140,000.
Wow. And what would my return on investment be?
You're going to rent that furnished at $2,400 a month.
Wow.
So that is and then if you wanted Airbnb that, you're looking at $150 a day.
Wow.
So, and then we took like worst case scenario, let's say you only rented it for 20 days times 150. I mean, you're just there is 3,000. So, and your carry on $140,000 is, oh my goodness, it's like maybe $1,200 a month. So you're going to be making positive cash flow of $1,800 a month, plus the value of your property is going up and the tenants are paying the mortgage down. So you got to figure buying in Canada, and I don't know why, there's a lot of Americans think of it, but they don't do it. And I'm always perplexed because when our dollar was $1.03 and yours is $1.30, we were all buying in the States. And I really think Americans should look at that.
I think it's education, a lot of it, Marnie. So I think, you're talking about the baby boomers and, Gen X and millennials and everything else. I think that they just, a lot of them don't understand and don't realize how to do it. But, when and I definitely want you to talk a little bit more about that, but when you're talking about, so now, I don't have any money. I'm 40, or actually, like you said, 65 years old, right? And how much money do 65-year-olds have today?
Well, according they're in debt right now, according to what they're saying, is 50% of American baby boomers have less than $100,000 saved for their entire retirement.
Wow. And how many of those people are still working?
Well, I mean, it varies in your country as well, but only 50% of them are working. I mean, the good news is we're living longer. So the average age, a woman lives on average 5 to 7 years longer than a man. So women need even more money than a man. And what you're looking at, the average age for a woman to live now is 85 to 87. Wow. And for a man, it's 80 to 82. But this is crazy. We're going to tell you this one is 1 out of 4 baby boomers will be centurions. They will live to 100.
Wow.
This is like all of us are getting healthier than we used to. We're eating better, and we're not as sedentary. We're moving and exercising and so forth. So this is, in my opinion, this is a crisis right now. And what they're also saying is that because we have healthcare and you guys have a different kind of healthcare, what you have to look at is based on American healthcare. You're looking at a couple could be looking at $400,000 in healthcare cost in addition to living because something will probably be happening to them.
And you're talking the U.S., right?
Yeah, I'm talking U.S. In Canada, it's all paid for. It comes out of our taxes. It's not free. I'm trying to get people, and I just finished my television show talking about this with Canadians, and it's basically now. I mean, I'm 65 right now. I sat down the weekend as well with my husband George, going over everything. No one cares more about your money than you do.
100%.
And you have to, as a person, start looking at your assets, your liabilities, and start determining how you're going to save. And if you start buying real estate like you've done as well, is you're going to be getting positive cash flow. I'll give you another scenario. We had people buy in the United States in Arizona, and they ended up making $300,000 to $400,000 in each house. So my client bought 5 properties, and he's made $2 million because they've gone up so much. This is what can happen in Canada. Like in Vancouver and in Toronto, for example, prices have gone up 50% a year. So look how much, and that's why we were getting a lot of Asians investing in Canada, because our home prices were going up. So, I mean, the best thing about real estate is, your government lets you do a lot of write-offs. You can reinvest your money, you can refinance it, and you can turn in certain buildings if you want. You could turn them into duplexes or multi-units. These are the things that you want to be looking at. And, it's something, Kristin, that people are afraid of, and I understand, but in the States, you can buy for $0 down. Now, if you're an American wanting to buy in Canada, you need to put down 35%. And we do lend mortgages, no problem. And everything is taken care of. And there's a lot of Americans that have bought property in Ottawa and also in Toronto and Mont Tremblant, all across Canada, Calgary, and so forth. And then you should be going and buying properties according to the economic cycle. So, I mean, that cycle, don't just look in your own hometown. I mean, I know you've bought, in Tennessee.
Yeah, so, just this weekend. I just closed on Friday.
Yeah.
And I used, just so everybody, my listeners here, you guys, I use a self-directed IRA to purchase it. So basically, there's so many different ways you can purchase real estate. And this was, I put, my money away every year into a 401k, used it, a self-directed IRA, to purchase a home that is Airbnb that's pretty much going to bring in $40,000 a year just on that alone. So, just making some decisions. And I think, and I don't know what you think about this, Marnie, but I think it's a lot of just people are scared, right? They don't want to, they're afraid to invest, which I definitely think you should diversify. Okay. Because as you know, like I said, I crashed and burned myself. And Marnie, was brought up with no money pretty much. Right. So we know how to live without money because we've done it, both of us. So we're careful in how we spend our money. But all these people out there have to start. And like you said, in your 30s, if you can do it, I would do it. Yeah, absolutely. 30 years old, start to really think about this, or even earlier if you can. But what are the different, so, because when we talk about, okay, 35% on 150,000 or whatever, that's whatever, $15,000 or $50,000, that might freak people out at first, right? Because they're like, oh my gosh, I only have 100,000 if I'm 65. But if I'm younger, I might have some more money to try to invest. So tell us, where to start and how to do that. Like how can...
Yeah, first of all, Chris, that's a good question. So what you want to look at is look at your home now. and we call it giving your house a job. So what you want to get is current value of your home. What is your mortgage on your home? And what we do in Canada, and I think you can do the same in the United States, is you get, it's called a home equity loan. Do you have those in the States?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what you do in Canada, we can get upwards to 90% of the value of the home. So what you do is, let's say your home was worth $300,000, and let's say you had $100,000 left on your mortgage. You now have a $200,000. It's called equity. So equity is the difference between the value of your home less your mortgage. And now you can borrow in Canada up to 90% of the equity. So, and right there, you'd be finding $180,000. So let's say you bought a property, and another good kind of property to buy is student housing, or buy near a military base, or buy, as I said, near colleges and universities or hospitals where people are coming and going and want to stay. So you've met my daughter, Lindsay, for example, and Lindsay refinanced her property, and she bought a townhouse near a hospital where, when the students are there, they're there for 2 or 3 or 4 years getting their degrees and becoming doctors, and they're willing to pay a lot, and she furnishes them. So she's able to increase her income by about $500 more than if it was not furnished.
Wow.
And when you buy, investment real estate, you can write off expenses. So
talk about that, because that's huge. And actually, in our very first episode that we had, Matt Weaver, really talks about writing things off and what the investment of real estate is. And because for our listeners, this is awesome about all the things, because the government wants us to own property. So talk to us about all those write-offs.
Yeah, the government, what's nice is, does encourage us to do that. And you got to have a team. And there's all different things about investment real estate, which is terrific. You can decide to buy new home construction, which we do a lot of in Canada. You can decide to buy a house you want to flip, or you want to maybe turn it into a multi-unit. So what can you write off? So let's say, for example, you want to buy a bungalow or townhome or ranch house. So it's going to be an investment property. In Canada, we can turn it into a secondary dwelling, or so if you make it into 2 units, a duplex, up and down, I don't know what you guys call them. And you can now be called properties improvements. So now we can get a property improvement mortgage, so you don't have to be out of pocket. Or what you do is you can borrow on the money and you put it into the house. So now what will happen is, all the expenses that you're doing, you can write them off when you're doing your taxes. So you can write off, for example, condo fees. You can write off, I think you guys can write off your taxes. You can also write off heating and cooling, and you can write off, maybe you have a property manager. You don't have to manage them yourself. You can write that off. You can write off your accounting services to do all your books on that. You can write off your gas if you were driving there to have to go look at things, and anything you're fixing. And what we encourage people to do, and we have something called buy 3 homes from the price of 1. So once you buy your investment property and say you fixed it up properly, you can get that reappraised and you refinance it. So now you can be getting more money out of your investment property and taking that money out and reinvesting and buying another one.
That's right. So, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what we say, 3 homes, is like the commercial double mint. I call it 3 homes for the price of 1. So you can keep doing this. And now you're going to start accumulating, because also, there's a lot of things going on. The property is going up in value. The property is being paid down by the tenants, so your equity is increasing even if it doesn't go up in value, and you're going to be getting positive cash flow. And you're able to write off some taxes to save on taxes.
Yeah, so we write off interest payments as well. Did you say that? Did you say interest payments?
Yeah, I forgot that, because again, we don't have that in Canada.
That's huge, guys. So, everything's interest pretty much when you first start, right? So if you're buying a $300,000 home, all the monthly interest is written off. It's crazy. how much you can save.
Well, it's interesting because, I look in the States. I mean, if I was an American, you guys have, your government more than the Canadian government encourages you to buy property. Now, you got to remember, if you're buying properties and you're American, you buy them in Canada, you'll be under the laws of the United States. So, you can benefit all along. So, whether you're going to buy in, Florida or Tennessee or anywhere in the United States or Canada, I'm just telling baby boomers, you got to start taking care of yourself. 20% of working baby boomers have $0 saved for their retirement. That is extremely scary, but real estate is the way you can accelerate, and it can take the fear out of your, I call it a rescue. It's a rescue way to do it, and it'll take the fear out of your retirement. So, let's review again. Look at how much money you're making right now, and then do a mathematical equation. You need to receive 90% of your gross income. Where are you getting that money from? If you have a pension, is it going to cover 25%, 30%? What's it going to cover? And is that pension secured? Then what you've got to be looking at, how much money did you save on your 401k? And I don't know what your rate of return on investment is. In Canada, it's like 2%, so it's not very much.
Yeah, here it's anywhere. In Florida, it's higher, but here in Florida, it's usually anywhere between 4 and 7. But, we always like to look at 2 because we know it's going to at least, even with the up and down, is 2% is an easy no-brainer for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing I think I like about real estate, and you do as well, is we have more control with real estate. Okay. Yeah. Now, if you have all you're in the stock market and mutual funds and, bonds and GICs and so forth, you have no control. You're at the, basically at whatever the market is doing. But if you own real estate, think about it, Kristin, is that you can improve this real estate. You can put sweat equity in yourself. You can change the real estate and make it bigger and better than what it is. You can make it student housing. You can do Airbnb in it. Like, there's just so many different opportunities and choices, plus leverage. You don't have to buy, like when you're buying a mutual fund or a stock, you got to put the full amount in. Where, I think you guys can buy for 100% financing, do you think?
Yeah, just about. Depending on the program and credit and everything else, but at least a 3 to 3.5% for sure. But they can get gift letters and they can get it down to pretty much 0%. One of the things and one of the places to start, Marnie, is like for me, okay, when I didn't have any money or anything else, I was just trying to save up a little bit to purchase my first investment property. So I bought it. Now, of course, the market was down during this time, which was like 2012-ish. And I bought it. And so today you can't get these exact prices. But what I did is I bought a duplex up in West Palm Beach, and I paid it was $65,000 and put $20,000 into it. Now today, because of the rents being so high, I am getting one side $1,570 a month and the other side $850 a month. So what is that? Almost $2,400 a month on a property that I paid $85,000 with the improvements. Okay.
That's great. Yeah.
Right. But what I'm saying to the listeners out there is we're talking, there are opportunities in all sorts of different things. So don't think, oh my gosh, I got to go and have $50,000 down, right? Because we can help you. Just know that you have to start thinking about it if you haven't already, and diversify your money. Definitely real estate out there is number one. For sure. Even if you're in a down market and you go up and down, which real estate does at times, if you can ride through it, which is what, most people do, because we actually owned a couple properties when the market, totally crashed. My husband did actually. And we just rode through it. And now we came back and we're doing just fine on those properties. Others, they took out more, and you guys are a lot more conservative in Canada, but they took out more than their property was actually worth, and they couldn't sustain, with the property values going down. Okay. Because they reset mortgages and they were on adjustable mortgages or whatever. So my point is just start somewhere, right? So just wrapping this up with all this amazing information, Marnie, what can we say to somebody to start? And they, diversify your money. Definitely real estate should be one of the places that you're considering. So how do they do that?
Well, I think as I said, the first thing you got to do is check your assets and your liabilities. So see where you are, and you've got to check your credit score. So you got to have a good credit score. And what we want to look at is your debt load. What is your current debt load, which is your liabilities? What are you paying monthly payments? You've got to put yourself on a budget. I used to be a prof at college, and I taught young people, you first got to budget, and very few people know how to budget. So get all of your expenses, and it's called fixed cost expenses. So that would be like you have to pay so much in your mortgage, you have to pay your utilities, your insurance, your gas, your kids' college, or whatever it is you're paying that you have no choices. And then you add your entertainment to that. And now you say, this is what my budget is. Now what we have to look at is, what are you bringing in every month? And now what we have to look at is, we want to pay off the mortgage on your primary property first as well. That's got to be a goal. But our biggest goal is in getting monthly income that when you go to retire, that you have it there. And you can do this really fast, catch up, Kristin, as you know. So, if you feel like you're behind the 8 ball right now, after we look at where you are, you'll be very surprised. Like student housing, if you get into that, for example, you can be bringing an extra, $3,000 a month in your pocket. So there's like $36,000 there. And that's after paying all your expenses. And then what you got to be looking at is, you got to find experienced people with a proven track record that have done this. You don't want some person that's just graduated from real estate school. You attract someone that knows how to do this. And then you start looking, and you also should be reading a lot, educate yourself. You, as I said, you're the one that cares about your future. Sure, it's very scary when you start looking at where you are, and maybe you don't want to be paralyzed by fear. And that's the biggest thing, is get rid of the fear and don't be paralyzed. And now start having, and I call it this way, is that, a written list of what you need to do. Then you got to say, I'm doing it. And as you know, we have check-off lists. I'm a big list person. I don't know if anybody else is. And you start writing lists, and don't get overwhelmed. It can happen. And, people that are in the business, like myself and Kristin, we can take you through it. And you want to make sure the people you're working with do have investment properties, because they're walking the walk. They're not just talking the talk. So as I said, take a deep breath, look at where you stand, and then make a decision and be very decisive of where you're going.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great plan. So for the listeners, if they want to reach out to you for Canada, how can they do that, Marnie?
Well, I'd love to hear everybody. So our office number is area code 613-233-8606. And you can get online and get our website. It's Bennett, 2 N's, 2 T's, pros, PROS.com. And we'd love to help you. And we work a lot with investments, as you know. We have become millionaire workshops, and we've helped our clients make millions of dollars. And, as I said, it's one of my missions is I don't want people to be worried and, stress-free. So I hope people get online and start taking care of themselves.
Oh, yeah. Great information, Marnie. I so appreciate you today and sharing everything. And, for all the listeners out there, you can reach out to Marnie, reach out to me here in Florida, but we have plans, we have processes, we sit down with you, do consultations, help you along the way of exactly a program that is right for you and that you're comfortable with, right? And that might take a while for you to do that. But once you start buying a little bit, one property, and start investing, then like Marnie said, it's you could do 3 to 1 properties, right? Because you're taking out money to invest.
Buy 3 homes for the price of 1.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Marnie. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having you on this episode today, and all of our listeners, I thank you as well.